Hello and welcome to my Ice Nova Snap Witch build guide. Now, I am not a professional Path of Exile player, and I do play in the softcore league, so I kind of hesitate to call this a guide. Most people want to play in hardcore and are looking to hear from a pro. However, this was the kind of the first build I've ever done where I didn't really look at what somebody else had done. I just kind of messed with the skills and the techniques I've learned from other guides along the way, and came up with something of my own. I'm sure this is not unique. I'm sure that if I searched around, I would probably find something very similar to this. But it's working for me, and I just kind of wanted to show everybody else. Now, I did mention this is softcore, and I have died. So I've died 137 times. 130 of those, give or take, is on Calm on Merciless difficulty. This build just has not been able to take it. I haven't tried it in probably 5 levels now, so I need to try it again. I will not be doing that in this video though. The other deaths come from maps. A few of them were like where I tried to run like a blood magic mods and things of that nature, and they didn't go so well. This morning I hit level 79 on this character, so I do have a good amount of skill points built out, and we can take a look at the tree here really quick. As I said, it's a witch, and it's primarily an Ice Nova build, but with a cold snap backup on it. I take the spell damage nodes in the witch into Elemental Dominion, come up into the critical strike chances. I didn't grab the Annihilation node until towards the end when I had more things filled out. A tip I had learned from some other streamers early on in the game, Ziggy D in particular, would be, try to path out as much of these blank nodes as you can early on in the game, just because it's kind of boring late game when all you're doing is getting an intelligence node here or there. So, and I found that advice has been very helpful throughout my gameplay. But when you do, in the end, you'll end up getting all these critical strike nodes here, coming up in the intelligence to come off and grab cruel preparation. Right now I'm having to grab some mana nodes because it's been kind of hit and miss on my mana needs. I'm hoping I can drop these after I play around a little bit more with the build. I grabbed this socket here, and I have a mana regen node in it with some fire and cold resistances on it. Grabbing the instability to get the extra power charge node. I will probably come up into the spell damage node at some point in time after I get the tree kind of rearranged. I'll wait to do that until after we get the patch at the end of the week. Come down and grab the blast radius. I'm trying to grab as much radius and area damage off of the tree as I can. Deep wisdom, get the extra mana energy shield. Early game, I found this build really lacked in the mana, so I've had to pick up those really early on. Grabbing these mana and life nodes here, Heart of Soul, probably drop this one at some point in time, pick it up with something a little bit better on the life side. Come down and grab another jewel, and come up in through here. Originally I was coming down in through here, because I needed these first, spec'd out of these, and then connect it up this way later. Come up into the life and energy shield. Crit nodes, another power charge over here. Not sure if I'll grab these other duration nodes, probably not. It seems kind of inefficient to me. Come down on cold-hearted calculation and grab some mana regen. Physical damage doesn't do us any good for this build, but the spell damage is nice, and it's always good to have some more intelligence. Currently grabbing freeze here. Of course, the shadow tree is changing, and I will put out a tree whenever I get that out at the end of the week, hopefully. Trickery. And coming down in the blood siphon, life nodes here, grab coordination for the attack speed and the dexterity. This build suffers dramatically on the dexterity side. I've had to actually take and use on my amulet. I have a ton of dexterity for the particular reason. I'm hoping in the new tree, once I've gone over it some more, maybe I can pick up some dexterity there easier, drop some of it on my gear, or vice versa, maybe pick up more of it on my gear and free up some points for the tree. We'll see. And whether or not I mentioned it or not, I'm coming down into these crit nodes here. Coming into the Templar side, I am grabbing another jewel there. I've got Conqueror's Efficiency, 3% reduced mana cost of skills, skill effect duration, reduced mana reserved. This will be swapped out with something better. Not sure if I showed this one or not. 16% increased cold damage, 9 intelligence and dexterity. I really wish that plus 9 there was a lot better because the 16 cold damage is really nice. I'll probably regal that now that I'm in standard and see what I can get on that. Come down into quick recovery, mana regen, life regen, extra life. It's nice to have. Retribution, grab the spell damage, attack speed, some strength and intelligence. Come down into discipline training, grab all this extra life, sanctity. Some life regen, more strength and intelligence, 20% increased armor for the very little bit of armor that I do have. Currently grabbing these mana reduction nodes. Again, hopefully it can work out my mana situation elsewhere and get rid of these. Might be able to do that now actually. Running clarity where it's at now, I might not need that. Area of effect nodes, or radius of the skills and the area damage, amplify. It's nice. Elemental damage, elementalist, grabs me this 5% chance to freeze, which is nice. I like to add that in there. I like the 5% chance to shock as well, more critical strikes that way. And path over into devotion. Come down, grab this jewel here. Again, more mana regen, cast speed, movement speed. I'll be replacing this with something better. Elemental damage, come up into celestial punishment. 25% increased damage against frozen, shocked, or ignited enemies. Awesome. Plus we're picking up that extra 5% chance to freeze and shock and ignite. So this is really nice with this build, since the whole concept of the build is to freeze the enemies as quickly as possible and shatter them. So we're going to be able to do that a lot easier with these nodes up and through here. We're grabbing Celestial Judgment as well, which gives us a big boost to elemental damage, and we're going to be penetrating 2% of that cold resistance. Over here I'm grabbing this power charge duration. I will be grabbing the overcharge here. I believe that'll take me up to 6 power charges. And life and chaos resistance here. I'll probably not fill out this wheel. I'm probably actually going to drop these 3 nodes here, and when it comes to the new tree, and put them somewhere else. I think I'll be able to do some better with life on those. Even though I keep bringing up life, saying I need more of that, really, I'm sitting at almost 3,700 life and 836 energy shield, so I'm over 4,000 effective health. So whether or not I actually need more life or not, I'm not sure. I don't die a whole lot except for in those impossible type situations that I keep putting myself into, so I'm not sure if I really need that or not. There will be a link to this tree on the build guide and in the description of this video. And I'm running Herald of Ice, I'm running Clarity, Arctic Armor. Arctic Armor is where probably the bulk of our defense is coming from at this point. I like to have it. It's nice, and you're leaving that chill behind. And that can come in handy too, because we're dealing more damage to frozen and shocked. Of course, we're not freezing enemies there with that. I'm not sure. Chilled may freeze an enemy if you hit them just right. I'm not sure about that. My guess is it doesn't. I've not seen it actually happen. In any case, the main purpose of running Herald of Ice is not only for the extra damage, but also because we're going to be exploding things. And while we're talking about that, I'm also linking that with Curse on Hit and Assassin's Mark and Frostbite. And I'm able to run 2 curses right now because I am using Windscream. I found this in the Dark Shrine League and really early on in the mapping game, and this really came in handy. My damage effectiveness really went up by being able to apply that extra curse. I'm not having to skill that extra curse through the tree, and not having to run one of the crummy rings that are out there that give you that extra curse as well. Plus, in the end, I'm getting 10% elemental damage burst on it. I've got a little bit of movement speed, some elemental resistances, which I've struggled with through Merciless, and some much needed armor, as little of it as there is, but this build really does need some armor in it. Two other uniques I found during the Dark Shrines event that have really helped are the Heartbreaker, which I had never even heard of this unique before, and I found it perfect for this build, really. Prior to this, I was running a +2 dagger, and I'll show that in a second, for cold gems, and it worked really well. But this is working extremely well. So I'm getting 40% global increased critical strike chance. Awesome. 42% increased spell damage. Great. Plus 40 mana, which we need. Energy shield's kind of nice. 10% faster start of energy shield recharge is nice, considering I'm getting nearly 1,000 energy shield at the moment, and so that recharge is kind of nice, but not really necessary for the build. But the last part is the best. Your spells have Culling Strike. Every single spell that I cast has Culling Strike. That's amazing. That's essentially, I've just turned my 5 socket here into my 5 link into a 6 link, and if I happen to pick up a 6 link, it'll be a 7 link essentially. That's amazing. I didn't really think it was going to be applying Culling Strike to everything when I first found this, but after some testing, yeah, it really is. The one thing I haven't been able to determine is if it's affecting my Ice Golem at all. I don't think it is, but it could be. If anybody knows, I would love to know the answer to that. The other unique I found during the Dark Shrine event that has really helped is the Spine of the First Claimant. I think I'm pronouncing that right. So we're getting 10% elemental damage, which is fine. The physical damage does nothing for us. 40% increased damage against frozen enemies. Well, since the point of this whole build is to freeze enemies, that's amazing. I'm also getting 33% increased cold damage. Again, all we're really dealing is cold damage, save for Flame Dash and some lightning that I have attached to the golem, which we'll look at in a second. All I'm really doing is cold damage. 33% increased cold damage is amazing. Attack speed, no good to us. 8% increased cast speed, that's nice. And 5% chance to freeze. So I'm getting an additional 5% chance to freeze, which I think is putting us up to 15% chance to freeze just from these stats like this. That may change, I think, in the new tree. I think the Shadow is losing some freeze chance, so I'm not sure what that's going to take me to. I might be able to pick it back up later. I'm not sure yet. Haven't played with the tree enough to know. But anyways, this is a really good item for this build. And while a shield would be nice, I just can't see giving up either one of the two weapons. I think the glass cannon route is a better route to go. Aside from that, nothing really special. The only thing I actually purchased ever for this build was a pair of gloves. It's not this pair of gloves, but a pair of gloves real early in the leveling to help out with my resistances. And then after the league ended and I got into standard, I picked up a Carcass Jack for right around 2 exalts. And it's 5 linked and it had the colors I needed. So it worked out really well. It was the cheapest one that was available, and I really wanted this. I mean, one, the evasion is nice. The extra energy shield is really nice. Some extra life is good. Some more elemental resistances, not bad to have either. It gives me a little bit of room to play with some of my other gear. But really why this is nice and why I really wanted to try it out is 20% increased radius of various skills. So my Ice Nova is just absolutely huge with my radius. You can see here it's covering almost the entire screen. And then the other nice thing is 12% increased area damage. I could really do without the extra gore, and not because I don't like the extra gore, but it's just more things happening on the screen that are going to cause some additional lag somewhere along the way, I'm afraid. I haven't really noticed it being a problem except for in like really massive packs, fracture maps and beyond. That has kind of been a little bit of laggy in those instances, but generally speaking, I'm killing them so fast it doesn't really matter. let me see here. What else do I need to show you? Um, I guess on sockets here, I'm currently running Flame Dash. I have a Life Leech plugged in there. No particular reason, just lack of anything better to put in that red socket at the moment. Faster casting. I'm using this mostly to zoom around. Prior to picking up some of the other sockets on the gear and things, I was running a power charge on crit with this, which was okay. I was able to burst into a pack and sometimes grab that power charge, which was nice. But in the end, I found that power charge just really wasn't all that necessary. We're picking up plenty of them from other locations. In my helmet, I'm running an Ice Nova, Val Ice Nova, Cold Snap, Spell Echo, Power Charge on crit. Previously, I was running this on a 3-linked wand, or dagger that was a +2, and that was great, but I didn't have the Power Charge. I was only using the Spell Echo, the Cold Snap, and the Val Ice Nova, which I'm not even sure Spell Echo was affecting the Val Ice Nova. I've never been able to find anything that says specifically whether that's the case or not. So in the comments, if you know, I would love to know. It's really hard to tell on screen if it's actually spell echoing or not. It looks like it is to me, but I'm not positive. And you may notice I got some 20% crits on these. These are coming from the Perfection that I got through Dark Shrine. I don't think I qualitied anything up on the gems by myself using GCPs, with the exception of the Spell Echo, which I've been working on getting up there. On this dagger here, I'm running Enduring Cry, Clarity, and Increased Duration. Of course, the increased duration is only applying to the Enduring Cry. I just kind of put that together this morning. Prior really wasn't running anything in here. I was just leveling gems. And finally I kind of decided, Enduring Cry would be kind of nice to have, so I put that in there. Go back to that in a second. On my Ice Golem, I am running added fire damage. Again, lack of something to put in this red socket at the moment. That's what I'm using. It seems to be doing pretty good. Plus it gives him the chance to ignite, which we're picking up some extra damage from that through the skill tree. I've got Life Leech on here, and it does appear to work with the Ice Golem. Wasn't sure if it would, but he does tend to stay alive longer since I've added that. And added lightning damage. Not only is this giving him a lot more damage, but also it's giving him that chance to shock, and that is really good. So we're going to be able to get more crits off that way. I already kind of showed this, but Herald of Ice, Curse on Hit, Assassin's Mark, and the Assassin's Mark we're using primarily to get that power charge. It's nice to get that life and mana on kill, but in the end, it's on kill. It's really not really affecting us all that much. Frostbite allows us to penetrate all that cold resistance, and cursed enemies have a 13% chance to be frozen by cold damage. So that's another 13% on top of what I think I said is 15% chance to freeze. So we're looking at 28% chance to freeze, I think, right now. That's pretty cool. Just kind of a generic ring. Mostly have it for the resistances on there and the mana regen. Need to really replace this ring. I really thought I'd be able to when I got into standard with something in my stash, but I couldn't really find anything that was that much better. Running a cold resistance here. It's got a 6% increase to cold damage, which is nice. It's an Elrion ring, so -8 to the mana cost of skills, which is nice. I'd really like to put another Elrion in here as well, but I need to craft one for that. And I haven't gotten around to it. Got a pretty nice belt, I think. It's cold and lightning damage, a little bit of life regen, not necessary, but nice to have. But 95 health plus 37 health is, what is that? A lot of health. It's really nice to have. You can see without that I'm losing, like, what was that, 600 health? 300 health. So about 300 health we lose by not having that belt. So we're at about a 300 health gain out of that. That's pretty cool. As far as the boots actually go, I kind of already showed that off. You're getting the additional curse. Nothing special about the gloves. A little bit of rarity, resistances, some mana, some life. decent amount of life and decent amount of evasion. I actually pulled these out of my standard stash, so I did not find these in the Dark Shrines event. I just had them sitting in my stash. The helmet, again, nothing super special. Good resistances, a little bit of armor, some mana, 21% rarity is really nice to have. Probably why I was able to find most of these items that I have. And on my amulet, 27 dexterity, some spell damage, a little bit of fire resistance, and some more dexterity that I crafted on there. It's really the only reason I have this amulet at all is because without it, I just don't have enough dexterity to run this build. And the final piece of the puzzle here, the Carcass Jacket. Kind of already went over what it does, but my links in it is the Ice Nova, increased critical strike chances, Spell Echo, Cold Penetration, Hypothermia. And I have these pretty much in the order that I would use them in. I would actually probably do this. So I would do Ice Nova, Spell Echo, increased critical strike chance. With the 4th link, I'd put Cold Penetration. 5th link, I'd put Hypothermia. With the 6th link, if you don't have Heartbreaker, I would put in probably Culling Strike. Maybe if a green slot was all I had for that. Ideally, I'd have another blue slot, and I'd put a Power Charge on crit in here. I think that would be the best scenario. That said, I'm keeping Power Charges up without any issue right now with the build as it is. Flasks, nothing major here. A couple of instant recoveries, running a Surgeon's Granite, remove bleeding on a staunching flask here, and then I have a remove freezing with a 50% recovery applied instantly, which has come in quite handy a couple of times. The other dagger I was referring to, find it through all my tabs here. This is the dagger I was running prior. It had an 80% global critical strike chance, +2 to socketed cold gems. Added some cold damage, which was nice. And hold on, phone is ringing. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. And a 34% increased critical strike chance for spells. So by dropping this dagger, I lost a lot of critical strike chance, but in the end made it up pretty well. If you take a look at my Ice Nova's critical strike chance without power charges, I'm sitting at 38%. With power charges, I'm getting this up to, I believe it's like 55% critical strike chance, more than enough. It's quite nice. 20% chance to freeze. So it's a 33% chance to freeze then once we've cursed an enemy. So that's pretty cool. And I've got 37% cold resistance penetration even without the curse. So with the curse, we're doing really well. I was originally using a Herald of Lightning along with Herald of Ice to get me a little extra damage, and the Herald of Lightning was what was actually applying the curse. I saw a couple of other people were using a Herald of Ice to apply curses, and I didn't really know how that would work. I didn't think that was going to work all that well, but the higher in levels I got, the more exploding I was doing from those frozen creatures. So I was actually applying curses fairly well, and when it wasn't applying them, it didn't really matter because I didn't really need it. They were exploding anyways, so it didn't really matter. Anyways, I'm going to run a quick map here and just show you what's going on. I got this ghetto map. Nothing special, some magic monsters, extra cold damage, and everybody has a bloodline mon. I have no idea how this will go. I may die, I may not. It's softcore, that's what I like about it, and I'm early enough in the level that experience loss isn't that big of a deal. And here we go. And it's kind of looking like I might be having some latency issues. I'll turn that back on so I can see. Kind of again, just to let you know, I am running Ice Golem all the time, Enduring Cry. Cold Snap I'm using just to kind of kite the enemies in, get that burst damage, get a power charge, hopefully, early on. It's good against bosses as well when I'm running around. Bosses are my downfall. Flame Dash, just some movement skill, but all that is. Ice Nova, just, fill the screen, freeze everybody, and hopefully, even do a lot of culling along the way. And then Ice Nova primary skill. You can see just that one Cold Snap there. This is a level 70 map. I'm 79, so I'm about 9 levels higher than that, but I didn't want to run something too high and not be able to kind of show off how the build functions. If somebody wants to see a higher map later, let me know. Something I can definitely record. No laughing at my map skills. I know they're, terrible skills. But I get around. As you can see right now, I got 5 charges up, lasting about 14 seconds. Right now, I am sitting at a critical strike chance of 53%. Not really used to talking and playing. This is my first video that I've really recorded. Hopefully I'm sounding okay and everything's going alright. I don't really plan on doing a whole lot of editing in this video. Don't really have any good software for that outside of Movie Maker, and it takes forever to render a video in that. But hopefully this is at least going to get the point across. I'm going to make sure and keep your Ice Golem alive. You're getting a lot of extra critical damage from him. Not sure how much offhand. Apparently I picked a map mod that's got a ton of bleeding in it. And picking up those chromes. I'm way low on chromes. I had to recolor some gear on my helmet to get it the way I wanted it. And I'm back to where I started. Isn't that nice? Like I said, no laughing at my mapping skills. I know I'm not that good at it. I can clear a map. I just got to find my way around it first. I know somebody will probably end up asking the question, why am I playing in standard? Why am I not playing in hardcore? I know that's a huge debate amongst people. And the primary reason is up until recently, I was working a full-time job, working somewhere around 50 to 60 hours a week, just kind of depending. But I was recently laid off, and I've had quite a bit of time on my hand, and I thought I'd see if I can pass some of my time by making some YouTube videos, build guides, just see where that goes while I'm looking for something new to do. And before anybody says, job probably sucked anyways or something, I actually loved my job. So I'm quite disappointed in the fact that I no longer have it. But something new will come along, and with any luck, I'm going to be doing my own thing, maybe be my own boss. I'm a programmer by trade, kind of getting into some game development with this time I have off. So hopefully you'll be seeing something like that out of me here before too long. you won't be seeing anything out of me that looks anything like Path of Exile, largely because my art skills, at least on a computer, quite literally suck. But I like to do 2D development, like little time waster type games. There seems to be a pretty good market for those. My latency is pretty high today. My latency is not usually that high. I am running this at near max settings right now. I've turned down the shadow quality a little bit just because, just to get a little bit of a smoother experience, but other than that, I'm running at the highest settings available. And doing that on a new graphics card. I'll put a link to it in the description in case anybody's interested, because I know people are often having problems with their graphics cards dying. It's a question that comes up a lot. I know on Reddit people want to know, oh, what's your computer specs? How are you running this game? That kind of thing. And it's a, let's say it's a GTX 960 or 80. I don't know. It's like $200. I'm gonna die. Or not. Here we go. He's down. I was quite disappointed. I actually tried recording some videos for the first time, and I had two older NVIDIA cards. I don't recall what their model number was offhand, but they were 1 gig cards in an SLI configuration. They were only a couple of years old. They were pretty new whenever I put them in. But the primary one died as I was doing it. I don't know if it was coincidence or just something to do with a driver issue or something, but something happened and they totally died. The second one was working, so at least I was able to still game for a bit. Not exactly the kind of thing I want to be doing after getting laid off from a job, is sitting there spending a lot of extra money on computer gear, but hey. And we're down to, there's still more than 20 monsters left. If anybody wants to stop watching at this point, that is perfectly fine. I will just be finishing off this map, and that'll pretty much be it. I don't believe there'll be anything special in the video you're gonna miss after that. And I'll keep playing the map out just in case anybody wants to see that. See, generally speaking, just hitting that nice Nova with the spell echo. And I'm not sure, this is something I need to find out, but I believe that each cast of that spell, so if I cast it once and it casts twice, I think each one's got its own critical strike chance. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe that is the case. It certainly seems to look that way. Alright, there's only 8 left, that's cleared enough. Not sure exactly how long that took, but not terribly long. And nope, no GG gear, unfortunately. Alright, So that is the Ice Nova Snap build. I will have a guide up in the forums so you can read about it. See if I can figure out how to put all the fancy links in there like other people do so that you can see my gear and that kind of thing. I'm not 100% certain I'll figure that out, but I'm sure that somebody on Google's outlined how to do all that. Until next time, this has been Basker. This was a build guide, my first build guide, and hopefully you'll see more from me, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks.